Hello and welcome to the Business Plus, where we talk about business and venture into different business world and business opportunities. Now, today we're going to be venturing into a business about petrol station. Most of the time tunaonanga tu petrol stations huko nje, but we don't know how much effort is put into that business. That's why today I have a very young guy mwenye ameventure into the business world and he's doing very well. And let's know what happens here and how to make money, because business is more than meets the eye. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Very fine. How are you?
I'm also very fine.
Yes.
And I'm very glad to meet you.
You're much welcome.
All right.
Karibu sana Borderwell.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Mark. I'm official manager of Borderwell, also a stakeholder.
All right.
Yes. I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
is a note for the show.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, first of all,
Yeah.
why did you even come up with this idea of bringing up a petrol station?
Okay. Well, it's a very widely thought idea that comes right from, I mean, as far as my grandfather owned a motorbike and came down. As a family, we've been doing a lot of motorbike-oriented projects. We have a side cut that we make. We have an ambulance, a motorbike ambulance we've made.
Wow.
Then we sat down and thought to ourselves, then why not concentrate this energy into one?
All right.
So we figured, looking at the market niche and the dynamics going around, we noticed the problems the common border riders go through. We figured, then why don't we have a petrol station where they can come and then distribute services that can help them get better, build a better future for themselves. It's a very neglected sector.
Yeah.
We're looking to see how we can impact them and raise their standards up.
That was a very good idea. Atuwadharau.
Wacha watu kuwadharau.
Atuwadharau.
Yes.
Now, how did you even come up with a location now that you decided, sasa hapa ndio nataka to set up the petrol station?
Before this, we had begun doing venue scouting. So we began venue scouting from November 2020 when the idea initiated. So all through
So
we've
it
just
started
been,
from November 2020?
Yes.
And when did the first sale happen?
The first
The first sale?
The first sale?
Yes.
We officially opened on February 1st, 2022.
That was quite a long time.
I mean, it was a very good time for us as well to be able to understand and have grip over the market, understand what needs to be done, what can work, what can't work. We had the different locations that we had considered all the way in Thika, Juja, Kawangware, but then we figured east or west, home is best. This is where we started business as a family, and we're back here.
All right.
Yes.
And apart from that, for someone who wants to open a petrol station, after identifying a location,
Yes.
is there anything else that I need to consider, or I'll just identify and decide now this is where I want to start?
I mean, it will be tactical for you to, first of all, have a vision and understand what's your niche, because there are many petrol stations that have been existent right from colonization and independence. So where the market is now, you need to understand your niche and figure out how to go about it. So you have to have a lot of information about the sector that you want to get into, and also understand there's more to just selling fuel.
Yeah.
There's more impact you have than just selling fuel, because every other person is selling fuel, So you picture in the common estates, you have a mama there with a pump selling mafuta. There's another one who sells in vibuyus, all selling the same product, but it just depends with how you want to do it, what makes you different, what's the vibe around you, how do you make people feel about how is you in the business, where is the you in the business, and where do you see yourself.
And
So
apart
it's-
from that, according to maybe the government guidelines and things that you need to consider, like licensing and everything else, is there any regulation that after identifying this is the land that I want to use, you'll need to maybe get something like a certification from the government?
I mean, you need a lot of certification. You need kanjo, you're doing advertising, you need a lot of kanjo, you need NEMA to also be in, you have IPRA to come and verify the tanks, to calibrate and everything. So there's a lot of procedures, but all these are well structured. You can easily be able to get a petrol station running so long as you have the funding to do it. So it begins with the funding. You have a vision, but then I'll get the funding right. All these other things are straightforward. You need water, just contact your local water supplier. You need the county council, you know where to get them. If it's IPRA, they are all over. You know, if it's NEMA, go to the county council. If it's the fire extinguishing, you know where to go. Exactly. So all this there's already a system and a structure. You just need to be able to, it's not rocket science. It's very simple. It's simple ABCD. It's the same as opening up a car wash. It's just the difference now is you have to understand your niche. That's where the difference is, the niche and how heavy are your pockets.
All right, and talking about the funding, for example, talking about the Boda oil, how much capital did you need, or how much capital did you start with?
So let's begin here. Boda Oil, the company, is a franchisor. So meaning if today you wanted to own a petrol station under the franchise name Boda Oil, then there are several steps that you have to go through. Right now, as Boda Oil, the franchisor, we are creating and constructing affordable petrol stations going up to 3 million for construction, and then about 2 million for stocks. So with about 5 million, you're good to go. You can start.
So that's the cheapest one would start with?
Yeah, we call it affordable.
Okay, affordable.
If you call it cheap, then it looks
cheap.
It's affordable because you also don't just want a random structure. You also want to diversify your income. When you depend purely on petrol, you miss out on rental income and every other business that can support the business. So if you look at what is happening in the market and the dynamics, it is not convenient to only sell petrol. It is convenient to have other services. That's why you see petrol stations having a restaurant, a chemist, a car wash, a tire center. All this contributes. So it's more like zero grazing. So you bring people together and then you distribute.
Just before tutoke hapo kwa capital, now ume-mention on mtu mwenye anataka maybe venture with the Boda Oil. For someone out there mwenye anataka kuanza a totally independent petrol station, how much will I need?
It depends. It depends with the construction. You want to how much tank capacity you want, what kind of pumps you need. All these things have a price. So the smaller your tank, if you want to do a 1,000 liter tank, then definitely the price is smaller. You don't need to do cabros and get all fancy. You know, you don't have to do a four nozzle pump like we have. These ones are a bit expensive even in the market, going to about 750 a million. So it just depends with what you want. But again, you have to understand where you are, the niche you're trying to create. So if you have a high traffic place, then you can't have a 2 nozzle pump because then you'll not be able to satisfy the clientele. So it's all about where you are. If you're starting in the village, maybe I could advise, start with a small tank, have a shed, then have your nice branding a bit, have good color scheme, have your common 2-3 shops here, then have one pump that can be able to sell. That could be start. You could even get to a point of 1.5-2 million, and then what now takes up your money is stock. Because if you're buying fuel at 150 current price, 150.1, assuming you have about let's assume 5 shillings profit margin, then it means to fill up your tank you need 145,000 for 1,000 liter tank. So if you're doing 10,000, that's 1.4 million as you go.
Brings me to this other question. How much profit, how profitable is the business right now?
Well, I would say with the crisis that underwent, because it got to a point where independent stations were buying fuel at pump price, meaning if I'm selling at 150, I buy it at 150. There's not much money I'm making. The industry has been targeted a bit. It's a bit shaky, but then that's when now entrepreneurship comes in and you're able to understand you're not only selling one product, but you have an option of selling more. So if you have lubricants, you have a car wash going on, you have maybe rental income that you're expecting, that can push, that can sustain the business as the times move, because you know you exist in an environment and you cannot also precondition the environment. So even if as a farmer you watered your plants well, you know, you have the greenhouse ready, something always comes up. So you have to find a way to be able to survive, diversify your income, but then understand petrol brings them, then now have other things that they can also consume that you can make money from, even as the market becomes better, which we are hopeful that it will progress and become better.
But also, I know that petrol is a very, it's a very unique product.
Yes.
Very flammable and other things to consider. So how do you make sure and ensure that kuna safety for the customers and also for the people who are working for you?
So the first thing is our staff have gone through a training, a fire conditioning training, fire extinguishing and all that. You have to have fire extinguishers around. You have to have a hotline for fire extinguishers for the county. Then you also, for the clients now, you are advised, and this key, the 5 instructions that you're always given at the petrol station, switch off your engine.
Yeah.
You might think it's just utiaji,
Exactly.
but then inasaidia sana because you do not want a situation where you run off with the pump.
Exactly.
You're fueling and then that's chaotic. You can't also put fuel into jerrycans that are not authorized. That puts you into danger.
Exactly.
But clients come and they say, gari iko pale tu imekwama. You want to help, you want to make the sale, but then you have to understand, I need to protect you because if tomorrow there was an issue, I would be the one to be blamed.
Exactly.
And that's a huge issue. That's a big bargain, and you could even have your station shut down just because of not mitigating some of these risks. So it's very advisable that when you come to the station, you're there for 5 minutes. Make sure you're alert. Look at your pump. You're always told switch off your engine. Make sure your mobile phone is off.
I'd really want you to tell me why we are told all that apart from the safety measures.
Yes.
But before that, where do you store your petrol?
Petrol is stored underground. You don't have, because you're looking at big tanks, you don't have space above the ground to have big tanks. So you take advantage of space down. So you dig in.
So that's the only reason why we store it underground.
It's also safer. It's also the safest way because now for you to access it means you have to open.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but if it was out here, then a simple spark could spark a lot. That's why you're also told when you go to the depot and whatnot, there's a way you carry yourself. You're not allowed to even have things that can cause a slight electrical charge because super is very flammable.
Yeah.
Extremely flammable. You term kerosene flammable, super is flammable.
Very
and the
flammable.
fumes are bad. The fumes could explode.
Yeah.
If I opened a tank today and just dropped in and even if the tank was empty but has the fumes, it can explode.
It still can explode.
It still can't explode.
Wow,
So
okay.
it just means you have to be,
Very
fire
careful.
is a big, anything that can cause a spark, any electric, so all the electricity down here has to be very closed. So you can't have wires open, sparking anything. There are small mitigations that you have to go through as a company before I serve a customer. And then as a customer, just be, don't come smoking a cigarette. Some of these things are very sensitive. And including now the phone, because some phones have electrical charges if you're fueling a lot. The pump also has fumes.
Yes.
So it's possible to have a lot of risks.
All right.
It's good to mitigate them.
Sawa. Thank you so much. I want you to tell me about now having your phone off and all that.
Yes.
Mpaka tunaambiwa zima gari before nikuwekea mafuta, it has to be off. I want to know about all of that. But before that, I want us to get into the 5-minute tip.
All right, so many people will ask, how do you then start a gas petrol station business? I'll give you a couple of tips. Number one, you have to find, so before you even get to the business itself, you have to sit down and ask yourself, what's the goal you want to achieve? What's the niche? What's the difference you want to create in the market? What problem are you solving? All right? So once you find a problem that you're solving in your local area as an organized group or whatever, then you sit down and come up with an action plan. An action plan means you need to have a location that is strategic. You need to have capital enough to construct, have the right people to actually construct the structure and everything, and then mitigate risks for yourself because a lot of the sector has a lot of people who would lie to you and feed you wrong information. So a bit more knowledgeable would be good. So you start by understanding your niche. Get to know what you want. Hapo mtaani, what's the problem? What's the current problem ya mafuta? The people are going 2 kilometers. Okay, then maybe you don't have to start with a petrol station. It might be capital intensive. You could start by having a small refilling station. Then from there you can be able to pick that up. So you start with the niche, and then addressing the problem. Then number 2, sit down, address your have a structure in mind and organize your finances and your capital. So once you're able to organize your finances and your capital, then that will lead you to actually now doing the work on the ground. Construction. Construction is expensive. The cost of materials has gone up. Labor is also not as affordable. So you have to think of very smart ways to actually be able to do this. If you can paint the wall yourself, please do it. If you can be able to do a few things, that will be a very added advantage for you. It's also good you're in the business, you understand what's happening. So now you have the niche and the problem you're solving, you have your capital in order, you have arranged and found out what needs to go where and how are you able to construct. As you do this, you also have number 4, a case where now you have the licensing in place, you have the right people on board, you've talked to them, you've gotten to know the regulations, you've gotten to understand how much they are. Factored that, you have the licensing in order, number 4, and then number 5, start. So start selling. You don't have to be as ready. No one was born ready. You are just born. So start it, do it. You learn as the days goes by, but it's a beautiful journey. It's definitely a journey you want to start with, because then you will go adding knowledge and go making it better. All right? So those are the 5 tips I'd give you on how to start a gas petrol station or any other business that you'd want to start. The formula is pretty much the same concept, just a different shop. See you next time. My name is Mark Kamanja from Border Oil, Rongai, and you're watching Business Plus.
All right, thank you so much for the 5 minutes tip. Out there, I know you know what you're supposed to do if you want to start your own petrol company. All right?
All right.
So you had mentioned about all the safety precautions and everything. Why that?
I mean, who wants to ruin their face? Who wants to burn their face and look all bad? You know, safety starts with you. So it's always advisable that for me to protect you, you have to also follow specific guidelines, you know. For example, I'll give an example. You know, we advise for border riders to step out of their bike when we fuel. Why? It's because the border, if you look at the engine, just below the tank, there's a spark plug. You don't know if his tank is leaking. So it could land on the spark plug, that's a whole fire. You know, and you're still fueling, so it can get into the line and get even to the, you know, so it's just advisable when you step out, the slightest spark can cause a damage, you know. So step out of your border, you know, make sure it is fueled, it is safe. You know, also you don't want a spillage, you know, you don't want a case where the fuel can spill on you, because now you go smelling bad and you could still be inflammable.
Exactly.
You yourself as a person. So it's just small mitigations. Nothing that has a spark should get close to the fuel.
All right. So there's a place that you mentioned about its licensing and everything. Who offers the license?
So you have NEMA, you have IPRA, and you have County Council.
That's specifically for the oil companies?
For the petrol station, yes. For the petrol
companies.
station, you have to have, of course, a business permit. You have to have a branding permit, the advertising permit, because you have a canopy you pay for the signage where you advertise, the pricing. You have to pay now for the business. Then you have IPRA, for they mostly come and regulate. They check if you're selling a liter at 150, so that you don't sell 151. They have a regulatory, so you need a license just to prove that you comply.
You're on the line.
Yes, there is also, they seal the pumps for you, so that you're not able to tamper with them and adjust. Because the pumps can be adjusted. That's what we call calibration. So you can calibrate your pumps, and that's why you see sometimes there are petrol stations where you go, you'll say, "Yo mafuta ni kidogo," ama "Yo mafuta ni mbaya." Well, product is the same unless they mixed it with kerosene. Anyway, so if they tell you the product is bad, it means they mixed it with kerosene. Besides the point, you could find maybe, you know, just to push more margins, they tweak it not to sell a liter, now to sell 0.8, 800 ml, 700 ml. So they just regulate that and make sure it's in order. NEMA needs to be there so that you're not discharging effluents into the sewer, into the normal drainage system that will be consumed by people.
Exactly.
So it's just, you need to have a proper disposal system. Like for example, for us, all the oil that we have to collect. So any service that we do, we have to collect the oil and put them in tanks where now they're taken up from there. So you can't just put them in the drainage going down. You know, you can't wash a car or a boda and it has a lot of oil spillage and whatnot and let it drain down. You have to be very careful, maybe wipe the oil first and then now be able to clean that, just so that they don't come and test your discharge and notice you have oil, what's up? And you're discharging that into the drainage system, then it really affects the people down
there. All right. And which other requirements do I need for me to start such a company, apart from the licensing and everything?
So apart from that, then you need to understand what you want to achieve. You need a plan, you need everything. This is pretty much, it's like opening a shop. It's not complicated. People make it so complicated. It's not complicated. So long as you have a good module that can work, you have segmented your audience, you know what you want, the regulations are there, you have the capital. Start up tomorrow.
All right.
You could start up. We took only about 3 months of rebranding and changing everything, and for us that felt also like a long time. Would have done a month because the place was already constructed, but we needed to take time and have everything right as per what we wanted.
To make sure you know what you want.
To make sure that we know what we want. But if you have, if you have the right engineers, the same way, you could put it up in 6 weeks.
That's okay.
That's okay.
All right. And now, where do you get your petrol?
We have independent suppliers that supply us fuel. So there are many suppliers, by the way, in the market. People that you work on contract base because fuel is very sensitive. You can have a case where you ordered for 10,000 liters and they're delivered 9,500. So you lose 500 liters, which is money. And you also have a case where people could, which is what we have seen previously, companies failing because they were not careful with transit from the depot to the grounds where the mafuta comes. So previously there were cases where trucks would go left 5 minutes, offload 200 liters of diesel, let's say diesel or super, put in kerosene because kerosene is more cheaper than super, all targeting profits. So you have to know. You have to be very sure with who's bringing. You almost have to accompany your truck. Which we are able to do, but occasionally because we trust our supplier, we have come up with strategic plans. You have to make sure the moment the fuel comes in, you don't just offload. You have to test it. You have to take it through a density. You have to test the density. You have to test the temperature. You have to test how many liters you've been brought for. To make sure everything is on point. It has to be sparkling. All right. It has to be, because if it mixes up, it's messed up. All right. Most of the time, it's so hard to make profit using such a business. There's a time petrol was being sold at 150, alafu pia nyinyi mnaletewa at that 150. So during such a process, how do you make your profit? That's why you diversify your income. So you don't just rely on petrol. In any business, you're told, even for any financial advisor, that tell you, the Bible advocates for up to 7 streams of income. So understanding that you build traffic on a daily, you could close your eyes and say, you know what, maybe I could be getting this at a loss, but then I could sell my oil and still retain my customers for car wash and that. So business is hard, first of all. With the dynamics now and whatever that is happening even after COVID, most of the oil wells were closed down because people are at home. People are not in transit. So to revive that, there's so much happening. There's so much going on. So you have to have an entrepreneur's mind. You have to be very thick-skinned and understand that the business will become better, but for now, how do you survive? All right. So
you've mentioned about diversifying. For Boda Oil, what else do you have other services apart from the petrol and?
So currently we have tenants on ground. We also have a car wash that is operational 24/7 every day. We have a spares shop and last but not least, our new amazing product that we've launched in the market called Boda Oil, like the company. So it's our own oil that we're selling to Boda riders, targeting the Boda riders is competitive. It is good. We have made sure it is straight. It's market standard.
Yeah.
Everything is in order. The border people love it. I mean, there's crazy traffic every other day. Just people wanting to change. We're very excited because we now don't have to sell petrol here. We can sell oil in Uganda or in Zaire.
All right.
So we can diversify all the way, all across Kenya. By the time now we set up the petrol station there, our oil already is working and whatnot.
All right.
Yes.
So as we finish up, which marketing strategies do you use to make sure that now borderline inajulikana? And that will also help for people out there when you're nataka kuanza such a business, wasianze tu when they don't have customers. Yes.
So for us, we picked, maybe you're asking why border oil? The name itself is our marketing tool.
Yeah.
So we decided to segment the audience and realized we cannot compete with the current existing corporate giants that are in the sector. So we looked for the niche and we discovered the border people have a bit of income and are able to fuel a couple of times.
Yeah.
So we segmented that for our audience and are developing plans and projects targeting specifically them. It doesn't mean that we sell fuel targeting the border people.
Yeah.
If you came with your car today, we will be able to fuel. We still have diesel that we're fueling for matatus and the transport sector. So we're pretty much targeting the transport sector, finding ways on how to not only just be a transaction but to create a relationship with them, a strategic relationships with them that will be able to grow them and help them become people of impact, because they earn income. They're mostly neglected, but then they contribute. The mama mboga there depends on the border guy who is coming to buy mboga, etc. You will not pull up your demio to buy mboga because you have a supermarket, but this guy does not have the time to go to a supermarket. He's on the rush. That includes how you serve him, everything. So we are creating a brand that is 360. It's not just looking at a transaction, come fuel, go. We need you on a daily. We want a relationship with you. We want to see you grow. We want to see you own now your bike.
So this is the perfect place to come
This is
for
their
retailing.
place. I mean, if you look at them fueling here, if you look at them getting their cars, their borders washed, they're excited.
All right.
They really love the energy. They really love how we serve them. We serve them with a lot of respect. People out there, and maybe a word of advice to people out there, embrace them more. They feel neglected. They don't feel like they own a space in where we coexist.
Right.
But these people are able to, earn and have their own a bit of income. Direct it, channel it, don't beat it.
Okay.
We had a scandal previously. I think you saw that. I think it's only tactical if we sit down, address the problem, and agree that we need to, find ways to also listen to them, because they're not listened to.
Yeah.
And that's why,
right.
they're crazy on the road.
That's okay. Thank you so much. So that has been the border oil, and now if you want to start a petrol station business, it's not that hard. It's like any other business, just like he has said. So that has been the Business Plus with me, Rachel Kahugu. This is where business is more than meets the eye. See you next time.